So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like we're not going to frack. We're not going to take fossil fuel. We're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year, they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world, they're laughing. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all, is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
President Trump, thank you. And that is our...
Welcome to High Cheese. It's Friday, September 13th, 2024. And that was Donald Trump's closing argument. And that's all that you had to know about Trump's position. And this is why Kamala Harris failed. Now, throughout all the noise, all the ambushing by the media, this is what the American people picked up on, and I'll get into it a little later. But in spite of a favorable situation, a favorable media, Kamala Harris didn't produce. And the American people saw through this. And when I'm talking about the American people, this country is so divided, it's going to come down to the independents, the people that still are on the fence. They saw through this, and they saw a candidate in Kamala Harris that she's not quite up to it. She came across as arrogant, smug, condescending. Her voice was very whiny. And those faces she was making, oh my God. What was up with those faces she was making during the debate? And it's her own fault, because when you don't answer any questions, this is what people have to rely on, your demeanor. And her demeanor was pretty bad. And I'll talk about this later. It's reflected in some of the polls, some of the focus groups that said that Trump did pretty well in this debate. In spite of what all the pundits and all these so-called experts have said. Because to them, it's all about getting Trump. It's all about presenting a show. Look at Kamala. She stood up there. Didn't say much. But the bar for Kamala Harris was so low that to them, she won by just showing up and finishing. But that's not what the American people want. Now, we all know that Trump is combative. We know that he's going to push back on things. We know that he likes to riff. But that's already baked into the polls. People know that this is what Donald Trump is, and they fully expect it. So they're not going to be swayed when he does riff. He does push back. And you had some of these pundits out there. Oh, Donald Trump looked angry. Yeah, he looked angry. The American people are angry. And this is what the American people want. They want an angry guy in office in order to fix these problems. He was passionate. And this is why I think he came out on top. And I want to go to another clip. And this is just how the moderators coddled Kamala Harris. And this is the first question of the night. And this is just a perfect example of how the moderators collared Kamala. And in the end, it didn't help her. Because people see through this. They know. The American people know. Now you're going to get these diehard in the wool Democrats that don't care. But there's going to be enough people out there that figure this thing out that's going to put Donald Trump over the top. So let's go to this first clip with Kamala. And she's being asked a question by David Muir. And it's pretty self-explanatory. So let's go to this clip and then we'll come back and discuss.
When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid, and I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy.
Well, what's the answer, Kamala Harris? Are they better off or not? And she didn't want to answer the question. And the moderator didn't want her to answer the question either. She talks about herself as a middle-class kid. It's not going to fix the economy. And then she talks about some amorphous visualization of the economy and how she's got a plan. Well, why didn't the moderators push back? Well, please answer the question. Is it better today than it was 4 years ago? And what is your plan? Elaborate on your plan. And we know what her plan is. She wants to price control, which is going to either increase inflation and or decrease the availability of products. And then she's going to want to have this program, $25,000 program to give to people to buy homes. And that's only going to result in home prices going up by $25,000. Why didn't they push back on that? But this is just indicative of what went on during the debate. And it really wasn't a debate. It was just a show. It was a show put on by ABC and Kamala Harris's campaign. Now, they constantly fact-checked Donald Trump, whereas I don't even think they fact-checked Kamala Harris once. And in those fact-checks, they were wrong. Trump talked about crime, how said crime is going up. And the moderators came back and said, no, the reports that we have from our institutions say that crime is going down. But then Trump comes back and says, well, wait a second. That report does not include the major cities in the United States like Los Angeles. So they fact-checked Donald Trump with bad info. And then the abortion issue. Donald Trump talked about the former governor of Virginia talking about late-term abortions, where they put the baby on the table. They talk to the mother to see whether she wants the baby or not. And if she didn't want the baby, they're just going to let the baby die. And then the moderator comes back, who we later find out is a sorority sister of Kamala Harris. Now, they didn't go to college at the same time, but they were in the same sorority. There's no conflict of interest there. Well, she came back and fact-checked Donald Trump. She goes, well, there's no law that allows people to kill babies after they're born. Wrong. Let's take a look at Minnesota, Tim Walz. I think there's 6 other states as well as Washington, D.C. that allows babies to be killed after being born. So I think it was 6 times in Minnesota where doctors in Minnesota were allowed to just let a baby die after botched abortion. But you didn't hear that from the moderator. You heard some warped pushback on Donald Trump. And this went on and on. And Donald Trump pushed back. And he pushed back hard. He's a combatant. He's a fighter. And did I say this is what the American people want? And then it was funny. He made the dog comment about people eating pets. And there's some truth to this. And that's why you don't hear the media now trying to bash Donald Trump on this issue with whether Haitians in Ohio are eating geese, eating cats, eating dogs, other pets. Because it may be true. And this is the magic of Donald Trump. What he's done with this, he's elevated the issue of what's going on in Springfield, Ohio. Now, Springfield, prior to the influx of Haitian migrants, had a population of about 58,000 people. And you know what the Harris administration did? They threw 20,000 Haitian migrants into that city. Think about it, 20,000 Haitian migrants into a city with a population of 58,000. And that has an impact on a society of that size. Now, here's what we do know. We know that there's a lot of car accidents there. We know that a Haitian migrant had killed an 11-year-old kid on a bus when he or she crashed into it. And we know that you disrupt a society, an incumbent society, vastly when you throw that many people from another culture into a city, into a small town. You've got people frightened. And they're not frightened because they're racist. They're frightened about what's going on here. Where are all these people? One lady come into a council meeting and say she's afraid. Haitians are throwing mattresses in her front yard, yelling at her. Yet another resident saying that he saw Haitians killing geese, cutting their heads off and taking them away, apparently to eat. Yet another report of a person saying that a cat lady is missing the cats. But this is what Donald Trump has done. And this may be true. But Donald Trump, in his brilliance, elevated this. And this is just indicative. It's a small microcosm of what is going on with this country, with this immigration. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with immigration, as long as it's done legally and responsibly. And when you throw 20,000 Haitian immigrants into a town of 58,000, that's just flat out wrong. There's a lot of problems that result from this. And then they cite the town manager of the Springfield saying, well, we have no reports. We have no credible reports of this happening. I know enough about local government to know that the town manager is sometimes the last person to know when things are going on. That's why he issued the caveat, credible reports. It's a qualification. Allows him to back out at the last moment or change his mind at the last moment. But overall, this was not a win by Kamala. And these focus groups that various media organizations put out show us this. Reuters focus group tracked 10 undecided voters and asked how they planned to vote after watching the debate. 6 of them said they had chosen to vote for Trump, while just 3 said Harris's performance had swayed them. 1 remained undecided. Over at C-SPAN, an online poll also showed a decided Trump victory, with close to 3/4 of respondents saying he had won. Meanwhile, CNN's post-debate poll showed Trump expanding a big lead on the question of which candidate can handle the economy. Before Tuesday's matchup, Trump led by 18 percentage points on this number one issue. After the debate, it grew by a 20-point margin. Now, these media groups are doing these focus groups, and the Democrats are doing them also. They saw the results of these focus groups that they're doing internally. And that's why they asked immediately for a second debate with Donald Trump, because they know they weren't successful. So in spite of the spin that you see from the media, they're going to use every mechanism that they have to try to sway the minds of the American people. Well, it didn't happen, and it's not happening. People are wise to this. The American people are wise to this. And Donald Trump has said that he's not going to do a third debate. And can you blame him? This was an ambush. Even though he came out of the debate in a really good position. I'm not going to go through that. It's a fix. When they push back on Kamala's flip-flopping, particularly with fracking, she has clearly come out and said in 2019 that she is going to ban fracking. Which reminds me, if you live in Pennsylvania, why would you want to vote for someone that's going to ban fracking? And like I said, the moderators didn't push back. Ultimately, I don't think it helped Kamala because the undecided voters saying, well, wait a second, I want more specifics here. And I want to go to an article here about the debate. And this is from the Gateway Pundit. And the headline says, former Clinton advisor calls for internal investigation into ABC for rigging the presidential debate against Trump. And Mark Penn is that former Clinton advisor. I think many of us have seen him on TV. And Penn says, I actually think they should do a full investigation, hire an outside law firm. I don't know how much of this was planned in advance, Mark Penn told the John Solomon Reports podcast. I don't know what they told the Harris campaign. I think the day after, suspicion here is really quite high. And I think a review of all their internal texts and emails really should be done by an independent party to find out to what extent they were planning on, in effect, fact-checking just one candidate, and in effect, rigging the outcome of this debate. I think the situation demands nothing less than that, he added. So this entire thing smells. But I think it backfired on the Democrats. And let's take a look at a couple of post-debate polls. And as the weeks go on, I think the more polls that come out will give us a general idea of where we stand, for the most part. So let's take a look at the polls. And the first post-debate poll comes from Insider Advantage. And this is for Michigan. And Trump is +1 in Michigan. Now, this election is going to come down to the swing states. Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Nevada, Georgia, to name a few. And Michigan is one of the swing states, and Trump is up +1. And +1 is good. You have to understand, this is going to be a close race, even in the swing states. And a +1 at Trump is pretty good. Now, historically, Trump's vote always underperforms in these polls, anywhere from 4, 5, 6 points. So this Michigan poll from Insider Advantage is promising. Now let's take a look at some national polls, which mean a little less because they don't focus on the swing states. But let's take a look at Rasmussen. Rasmussen has Trump +2. The New York Post has Harris +3. And Morning Consult, I think that's Morning Joe's favorite pollster. They have Harris +5. So it's kind of mixed reviews from these early national polls, but it's good that Michigan is showing up +1 for Donald Trump. So we shall see. So Donald Trump continues to add to his really good tax policy here, as far as the middle class. And yesterday, I think it was in Arizona, he announced that he is going to not tax overtime. And he's already previously came out and said that he's not going to tax tips. He's not going to tax Social Security benefits for senior citizens. And he's adding to this with no tax on overtime. Meanwhile, you got Kamala Harris out there lying to the American people, saying that Donald Trump's going to cut Social Security. But this is all she can do. She can just lie. She knows she's not going to be challenged by the media, so she continued these lies. But like I said, the American people are seeing through this. So we shall see. Okay, I want to go to an article here. Again, it's from the Gateway Pundit. And the headline says, Democrat Senator Blumenthal warns American people will be shocked, astonished, and appalled by report on Secret Service failures in the Trump assassination attempt. Democrat Senator Richard Blumenthal. Remember him? He's the candidate that said that he fought in Vietnam, and he didn't. And he still got voted in by the Democrats in Connecticut. Well, he warned that the American public would be shocked, astonished, and appalled by the level of incompetence and failure within the Secret Service surrounding the July 13, 20 2024 assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. Now, this comes several days after Melania Trump posted a video asking people, what's going on with the investigation into my husband's assassination attempt? And I'm paraphrasing her, but she's like, this is my husband. I want to know what's going on here. The silence is really heavy here. It's not a positive thing that I'm not hearing anything. And being the wife of the former president, I'd like to know. And you have to take this with a grain of salt, considering where it's coming from. Now, why is he announcing this? He's trying to get a pre-spin on what's coming out? Is he trying to spin this in a way that it was just incompetence and nothing nefarious? Who knows? But we have to keep our eyes on this. And the other question I ask, when are they going to release this? Now, the Democrats are going to hold this up as long as possible if they think this is going to benefit Donald Trump in the polls. And this is how they work. I can see this being held up by the Democrats just to help Kamala Harris and hurt Donald Trump. So we have to keep an eye on this thing. So, again, maybe Blumenthal's giving a warning to people saying, hey, look, get ready for your spin. You're going to have to spin this because it's really bad. So who knows? It's just, to me, it's just kind of odd. So we'll keep our eyes on this. Okay, inflation numbers came out this week, and they were pretty much in line with what was expected. Now, remember, inflation is up 19-20% since Harris took office. And quite frankly, how does she defend this? And you can see why the media is giving her cover. So let's go into some of the items. Eggs, up 28.1 year over year. Juices, up 18.3%. Hot dogs, up 11%. Dried beans, lentils, up 6.8%. Roast beef, 6.7%. Butter, 6.7%. Pork chops, 5%. Ground beef, 5%. Peanut butter, up 4.7%. Baby food, up 3.7%. Milk, up 3%. Motor vehicle insurance, up 16.5%. Gardening supplies, 13.5%. Cigarettes, 9.3%. Bank fees, 8.9%. Daycare, preschool, 6.2%. Postage, 5.5%. Motor vehicle maintenance, 5.1%. Rent of primary residence, 5%. So there's nothing here that is promising for Kamala Harris. Even though you've got the media covering for her, even though you've got the talking heads on Wall Street covering for her, people still have to go to the grocery store. So no matter what they say, no matter the spin on what the mainstream media is trying to produce as a result of the debate, people go to the store the next day and they see eggs up 20+%. And they know they're being lied to. So we shall see. Okay, let's end this with some more positive news, and let's go down to Atlanta, where the judge dismissed 2 more charges against Donald Trump. And I want to read an article here. It's from the New York Post. The headline says, Donald Trump prevails again in Georgia as judge orders 2 charges dismissed. It says the Georgia judge has dismissed 2 counts of conspiracy against Donald Trump in the case accusing him of interfering with the state's 2020 election results. Judge Scott McAfee on Thursday ruled that 2 of the 10 counts remaining against the former president and the 2024 Republican nominee must be dismissed because they relate to alleged federal crimes that are outside of the state's power. Now, Fannie Lewis hated Donald Trump so much that she tried to indict Donald Trump on federal charges, which she has no jurisdiction. And even with that said, the state law that she used to indict Donald Trump is weak. The case is weak. She's weak. And this is additional good news. And this just adds to Donald Trump's other victories. Mar-a-Lago case was thrown out. He's had victories in the Supreme Court with immunity. And Trump is grinding this out, and ultimately he will win. And this is the type of person that we want as president of this country. And with that said, thank you very much. You have a good week, and I will talk to you next Saturday.